I would like to move to our next speaker, Jamie Caine, who is a senior lecturer in information systems and businesses, Sheffield Hallam University. I've already introduced him yesterday. However, I would like to take a quick minute to introduce him to you on a short note. So, Jamie Caine, a thought leader in the subject of strategy and strategy operations, from market analysis, design, development, implementation, governance, and continuous improvement. He masters the entire strategic change life cycle in practice and theory. In industry, he is head of enterprise management standards for leading practice. His work was supported strategic transformation programs with local government and large blue chip organizations. So with this, I would like to welcome Jamie Caine. Jamie, over to you.
Amir, thank you very much, and good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you are around the world today. I'm going to share my screen and ask for confirmation that you can all see it.
Not yet.
Okay, it's 1 moment. Wonderful. Okay, thank you very much, Amir. So obviously with this short space of time, I'm going to be very direct to the point. I'm going to be talking about enabling change in innovation and transformation perspective. Anybody who wants to contact me or reach out to me following the presentation and today, my details are provided below. So I'm going to discuss the typical challenges that we have with transformation programs. I'm going to share some of the lessons that we've learned from our outperformer study in their adoption of 4.0 technologies to increase the success of running such transformation programs. I will discuss how repeatable patterns have been identified to help navigate the transformation journey, and then I'll summarize with a digital innovation and transformation framework that literally gives you a bird's eye view in terms of the phases that should be involved, and also some of the most commonly applied steps as well, which should give some real good, some food for thought in terms of how can you practically approach a transformation program. So I'll kick off first of all with a myth in that 7 out of 10 projects are declared a success. You have these myths that go around, but the reality is that actually when you start to look at the stats and look at some very credible reports, you find out that 72% of all digital transformation projects fail to deliver on budget, on time, and to value. This is a significant problem that we have. Why is it that organizations want to undertake transformation programs that the majority of them actually fail? And amazingly, the amount of GDP wasted on this totals 4.7. And to solve world hunger, it's less than 1% GDP. Now, I'm not saying that if we can increase the success rate, we'll solve world hunger, but it gives you an idea on how much resource and impact is wasted through these transformation programs. So what are the challenges then? Why do we experience these failures? What are the main blind spots? What are the main challenges that organizations are facing? Well, I'm going to go through a list of these, and then I'm going to talk about how repeatable practices that we've identified can help to address these aspects, and then I'll move into the final framework that can show you an overarching picture of how you can pragmatically go about undertaking an innovation transformation program. So the first problem that we have is there's lack of joint industry 4.0 vision and strategy. Yesterday, we had some really good discussions on details around how to go about delivering transformation programs. And it did come out as a part of the discussion that, without a clear vision and strategy, it's very difficult to govern and extract value out of any transformation program. So it's really important that, vision and strategies are clear, but they are actually really in tune with what the organization is trying to achieve, because it makes no sense to develop a strategy or vision that has no connection to what you're trying to achieve operationally as well. The two have to marry up. And we spoke yesterday about how we've developed a technique of re-engineering a strategy through undertaking maturity assessments that can help to develop strategic roadmaps and so on and so forth. So this is one of the main challenges that we have. There's a lack of vision and strategy. Another point is that, there's a need to update development path and roadmaps for 4.0. Now, when developing the roadmap, this is based on stakeholder engagement. It's really important to understand where the priorities lie, where the investment is specifically needed, and what type of outputs one is expecting to achieve. And through effective stakeholder engagement, involving people in the change, creating change agents, this holistically develops a more momentous roadmap moving forward to how you're going to navigate through your journey of transformation. And ultimately, this feeds into an overarching strategy. And the fact that organizations struggle to go about this, again, creates one of the major problems. Where and when to create value, context and structure within the 4.0 landscape. It's just a big stumbling block. Where do I start? Where can I extract value? Okay. Where do I create new services? How do I create new revenue streams? Where do they come from? Yeah. It's interesting in this point because, again, a lot of the ideas are actually within your staff, but organizations fail to apply the right methods to build on and leverage the innovative thinking within. And of course, working with certain partners can help you derive certain value streams that you can't achieve by yourself. And all of this needs to be in a context and structure, and organizations, struggle to go about this. There's a plethora of different technologies, but how on earth do I extract value from them? So the fact that organizations are struggling to maximize value and cost ratios, okay? So the need to be effective, the need to integrate and apply cost modeling and value modeling techniques and striking that right balance is really important. There were some great examples yesterday of how you can be utilizing 4.0 technology to help increase your efficiency, reduce cost, okay? But at the same time, there needs to be just as much thinking going towards, where am I creating new services? Where am I creating more value? And how do you strike that right balance? Okay. Organizations are struggling to do this. How do I develop Industry 4.0 as a product as a service? How do I develop the products and services around this? Again, all of these things, when going through the right processes in terms of understanding where you are, where you want to be, and how we can develop roadmaps, all of these things come out of that type of initiative, which then leads to the fact that you need to optimize that service construct, okay? Many times, this will involve external partners, where you literally have to develop a partner construct to deliver that value stream to your end users. And very much is frequent that you'd often need to see how you rethink the construct of your services in line with the new value streams that you're creating. And therefore, optimizing these things is of the utmost importance. How do I productize services within 4.0 realm? How do I make things tangible to my service users, to my consumers, to my partners? And we spoke about the essence yesterday of different robotic technologies that can be utilized to provide certain services. IT departments, divisions, and organizations, they have a challenge of productizing the IT suite, because they provide services internally and support external services. So product bundling and productizing your IT business model is of the utmost importance when going through transformation programs. The desire to improve performance with the increasing level of integrated 4.0 solutions, not knowing how to embed the right measures, not knowing where to apply performance modeling to enhance your ability to track how well you are doing, to literally put those indicators within the services, within the processes, so that you can have a very clearly integrated and aligned architecture that supports execution from right down at the process level, back up to the strategy level, and having the right measures in place in order for you to do that. That's a challenge. How do we use transformation techniques to standardize and reduce cost? You know, the organizations fail to understand the importance of identifying where the non-core competencies are, areas in which I don't need to be applying any flash technology. I just need to utilize tech to help me standardize. It can be off-the-shelf technology, but it's going to be cost effective. It's standardized, it's consistent, and it's what I need to be addressing to my non-core competencies. Yeah. And it's important that you understand what your non-core competencies are and where you need to differentiate. Organizations typically struggle on these aspects and end up applying standardization in the wrong areas. I mean, if you're trying to standardize where you're unique, then you're literally ruining your uniqueness. So knowing where to apply standardization is of the utmost importance. And the need to simplify and reduce complexity. How many times do we hear about organizations having, you know, disconnected, siloed IT landscapes? We have all of these various different apps. Who owns them? You know, who are the users? How are we integrating all these systems that are not talking to each other? So there needs to be an overarching architecture that aligns and integrates your technology in alignment with where the business needs to be going. This is where the productization techniques come in, and this is where applying the right frameworks and standards can really help to simplify and reduce complexity. And of course, we spoke about non-core competencies, but there's an importance of understanding where to innovate as well. And the fact that organizations don't clearly distinguish where they differentiate is one of the main reasons why they don't achieve the value and they don't achieve differentiation in their market, and they don't develop the required new services to help them maintain and build on their market position. So it's of essential importance that we understand where we can be applying these differentiating qualities to our work. And finally, how to go about standardization of both digital and physical aspects of 4.0. We have machine to machine, machine to human, the different aspects that need to be integrated, where possible, standardized. Here's a very quick view of those challenges that we just discussed and how, from our ongoing research that goes beyond nearly 2 decades now, we've literally identified patterns. And these patterns go across 6 innovation and transformation domain models: the value model, revenue model, service model, performance model, cost model, and operating model. And if you look at each of these challenges, we know exactly the types of disciplines and artifacts and techniques that need to be applied in order to overcome those challenges. Here is a bird's eye view of the Innovation 4.0 framework. And the idea here is that it's a non-linear, iterative, agile process, and you can simply see 4 phases that incorporate change management, incorporate solution technology management, that also delineate specific steps within each of these phases. It's an agile approach, and you can basically dip in where necessary and where you need to. But the idea here is that there are common steps that are applied in each of these phases. So the infinity loop here represents the agile nature of the framework, because with your initiatives, there should be a notion of continuously improving. When you're continuously improving, sometimes you have to go back to your understand phase to help design, where necessary, new products and new services. So you're in a continuous loop of enhancing and building upon what you develop as a transformation program to help you be more sustainable. Here are just some of the typical steps in an agile sort of view. And what you see here is you see specific steps relating to some of the phases. So in the understand phase, this is where I look at understanding what the pain points are. I typically will undertake maturity assessments in this phase. There'll also be a natural agile way of moving towards designing, where I ideate, I think about and develop innovative ideas based upon understanding my situation and the issues at hand. You know, I look at, okay, what potential services can I develop and how can technology help me to do that? Then I go to my develop phase where I look at, okay, how am I going to now specifically develop some tangible measures and roadmaps moving forward? What processes potentially can be involved here? Which stakeholders are going to be involved? And then I can also be thinking about, from an execution perspective, starting to place in the measures, the specific services, processes that connect to those things. And then as a part of my continuous improvement, I'm having the right type of audits, evaluations, appraisals, etc., to support my initiatives to make them more sustainable. The letters on each of these steps represent specific artifacts and templates that we work with. So part of what we do at Leading Practice is we have a very strong connection to industry, but also the academic helps to inform the rigor of what we develop. So we have internally a continuous loop in our community of the templates and artifacts that we produce for industry to use against each of these steps that you typically undertake in a transformation journey. And the numbers represent which model, which innovation transformation model each of these steps relate to. To finish off now on a final slide, I have now just in a more sort of detailed fashion typically listed some of the steps, the most commonly utilized steps that you would find across each of these phases. Of course, each of these steps do have specific artifacts, connect to specific domain models that I've mentioned before. And essentially, this gives you the ability to sort of, it gives us the ability to help tailor these steps and pick out what's relevant with organizations that we work with. And it's a very useful way, a very useful accelerator, if you like, to enhance the ability to not only derive what's needed, but also do so in a very fast and efficient way, down to the patterns that we've analyzed, the templates and artifacts that we already have as a part of our reference content, and that gives us the ability to accelerate the speed in which you can undertake a transformation journey. Change management is something that's very much a part of this process. Nothing can be achieved without the right type of change management. And I believe it was Drucker who once said, you know, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. So if you are not managing the cultural change in the right way, you're not involving the stakeholders in the right way, your chances of success will be significantly reduced. With that, I'd like to say thank you very much for your attentive listening, and I'd be very happy to now open up for questions.